Of course, power bills. Well, the Prime Minister did make that foolish remark, didn't he, 3 years ago, that power bills would fall. And then, as we showed you during the election campaign, he wasn't dumb enough to make that promise again. So guess who stays exactly where they are? The bloke with the responsibility for bringing power prices down, who, of course, will just spend billions of dollars off budget to continue to achieve what they all want to achieve, which is to make themselves look better at an international climate conference, which, according to Labor activists, could push Australia towards a 75% reduction in emissions. It's currently 43%. Oh, and not by 2050, in 2035. And remember when the Prime Minister was all out of sorts? When Peter Dutton was asked a question by Kyle and Jackie O, it wasn't a policy announcement, he was just asked a question by Kyle and Jackie O. Would you prefer to live in the Lodge or would you prefer to live at Kirribilli? And being on a Sydney radio show, yes, also heard in Melbourne, no offence, Kyle. He answered that, yeah, I'd like to live at Kirribilli House. Well, that was immediately run up the flagpole and turned into the outrage of the day when we weren't panicking about a stock market, which, by the way, has completely recovered. That the alternative Prime Minister was measuring the curtains. He was too up himself by even having an opinion about which house that he would live in, be it the Lodge or be it Kirribilli House. Well, how would the Prime Minister describe himself the day before the federal election when he was already starting to plan for a third term of his own government? He's not just measuring the curtains, he's got the curtains and he can refurbish them whenever he wants. Similarly, Jim Chalmers says that he needs at least another 2 terms. So 3 terms in government to fix the Australian economy. Also, it'll be interesting to know whether when the Prime Minister and the rest of his cabinet are sworn in tomorrow at Government House, will he make the full conversion to the deep and committed Christian that we know he is? Because in 2022, he took the oath of affirmation, which was not swearing to God. He did not hold the Bible to be sworn in by. Now, that's fine as a person not of faith. I don't care whether you do or you don't. But this is the guy who, of course, was desperate to follow up on the Labor Party review into why, in part, they failed in the 2019 election, which was to say communities of faith have lost faith in the Labor Party. So even though the actual rubber hitting the road was, I won't swear on a Bible, when it was Easter Sunday, there he was in the front row, not campaigning, of course, when the Pope died as well. So we'll find out exactly what he'll do tomorrow when it comes to swearing in. What will have changed in 3 years if he decides to pick up the Bible? What new confidence does he have in faith that he's willing to talk about? Or will he do the secular thing because you don't want to upset all of the other or the non-faiths? And also, when we talk about the arrogance of measuring the curtains, the bloke who's now got more than 90 seats in the federal parliament who does honestly believe that there is no scandal that will cause him trouble, no opposition who will start to peg him back anytime in the next 3, 6 or even 9 years. Guess who's coming back? Well, Anthony Albanese didn't go to NATO because he wanted to be in Australia. He didn't want to be criticised for going overseas because, you see, what was that term that we had? Oh, that's right, Airbus elbow. It wasn't just something said here, by the way. It was a cartoon on top of the article written by Mark Riley, the guy who, of course, moderated the debate for Channel 7. That's right, Airbus elbow. Well, guess what's back? Airbus elbow. Because not only is he off to Indonesia in the next few days, he will then, of course, do his solemn duty as a committed person when it comes to faith, that he will be there for the inauguration of the Pope. And then he's got a few other flights booked.
Yes, after swearing in his ministry tomorrow, the Prime Minister heads to Indonesia on Wednesday. He's also confirmed he'll then go from Jakarta to Rome for the inauguration Mass of Pope Leo. As a Catholic, there is significance for the Prime Minister, but also opportunity to meet with European leaders as the Australia-EU free trade talks resume in the wake of Donald Trump's tariffs. The Prime Minister has likely trips to ASEAN in Malaysia and the G7 summit in Canada, all in the coming weeks. It means he'll be trotting the globe as the new Liberal leader, whoever it is, gets their feet under the desk.
Airbus elbow, back and roaring because he thinks he is now untouchable. And he may well be. But as long as we remain a free speech country, we will be able to criticise him. Unless, of course, the new Minister for Communications finds a new and creative way to be able to do what the previous one and the previous Prime Minister this current Prime Minister in his last term wanted to do, which was, of course, to define what the truth is, to censor criticism. Conspiracies.